parental reach can only go so far. And when we sit strong enough and their spirits can become casualties, riddled with the mortar of transparent mockery, buried underneath media propaganda and music video imageries. Misguided angels with clipped wings, gently nudged from limbs of familial trees, pushed into the heavens of hopeful destinies, yet not flying, not soaring, just falling and spiraling out of control. See, they are taught so much, but no. World stripping away parts of her which cannot be returned, causing her essence to be spurned as tumultuous thoughts repeat in turn. See, her body is burned, but from a fire deep inside of her, as she finds it impossible to hide her from herself. Lives lived on the crossroads of self-discovery, risking everything just for the opportunity to attain a false sense of notoriety. So one lost man follows another blindly down the road of no return, not realizing that importance isn't something invariably lead to dire circumstances. Emulations based upon perceived importance. Mistakes are made when brothers try to make quick fortunes, but far too many mothers with sons tonight in a penitentiary, while other mothers stand in frequent flyer lines in mortuaries, leaning over caskets, screaming out, "Please, God, take my life, not my babies." See, they're desperate for just one more opportunity to hold within their empty arms their sons. But second chances in this life do not always.
The poetry of spoken word, poetrist Reese Hartnell. I'm your host, Gary Stidham, and welcome to Essence After Dark. Reese, it's good to have you here today.
Thank you. I'm glad to have the opportunity.
For the benefit of our online listeners, you can email us at Essence Social Media, or Essence Media, I'm sorry, at gmail.com. And we'll try and get around to your questions as soon as we can get them from you. Listen, tell us about
Reading poetry since I was 4. That's when I wrote my first little poem. So for a number of years, as most poets, I evolved off their limericks and haikus that I used to write form, mostly because I just felt like I had so much to say and it just wasn't being heard. So I thought that, at some point I was going to have to vocalize what was not being seen or read on the paper. So that's why I decided to take up this field.
I know that's right. Can you probably tell me in one word how you define spoken word?
It's just art.
It's just art. Can you actually just tell me what it would be for that individual?
Yeah, a spoken word is an artistic form of poetry, which differs a great deal from traditional forms of poetry. It is more of a performance art, so it is as much about the poet projecting the emotion, the feeling, the thought process that they have out into an audience, as you would in a play. So it's not just a matter of a little quiet poem. It is spoken. It's shouted.
Based upon a prior life, I can hear it. I see
Right.
it. Now, what does it take to be a spoken word poet?
Well, first of all, you really need to hone your written craft before you ever step foot on stage. A lot of people see it on television, on like Def Poetry Jam, or on YouTube, or they go to open mics and they're like, "Oh, I can do that," But there is a great deal of work that goes into this. You really have to work hard and practice. It is not just about anything. Really, really work hard on getting your message across, and work on that first before you even think of stepping foot on stage, because
You know,
it's a cutthroat scene.
It really is, and I can envision someone probably standing in front of a mirror to recite what they need to recite.
That's where I started, yeah, in the mirror.
Okay, so tell me, we all got a first thing, a first time for something.
Mm-hmm.
What was it like with your first performance?
Well, the first time I went, my father, I asked him if he would bring me to a bar that had an open mic night. I didn't realize at the time that it was a music open mic night. So my father asked if it would be okay if I did poetry. And I had no idea that what spoken word really was. I just thought if I could just get on a microphone and just read it and do it in an impassioned way, a libation. So I got a standing ovation. It was great. And from there, it just took off. I just loved it. Yeah, caught the bug, as they say.
I was so overwhelmed with the first poem that you did. Do you think you can give us another one?
Yes, of course. Yeah,
Okay,
of course.
Good, excellent. Listen, this is Reese Hartnell again.
In midnight whispered confessions, she told me. Long, long before that, I knew her when. Knew her smile as though my own reflection can even now resurrect the tone inflections of the voice that haunts my resting. Knew her when first she got braids, twisted them like knots in schoolboy bellies, when she winked her rare green eyes in no specific direction. I knew her glances alone left grown men with erections she could use to her benefit. So when her father found proof of her indiscretions and she came to me, I with no hesitation took her in. But I did not know that her womb would fill 3 times with clinic-rid unborn children. Did not know her full lips could occupy both seduction and addiction. I just knew that she was beautiful of beauty. I did not know that inside her held the whispers of grown men telling her, "You are not good enough for love." But long before that, I knew her when. See, she and I were like young children. Before she was too far gone and I was too far away to wrap my arms around her quickly shrinking frame. Before I could convince her that her value was in more than just boots and heroin packs. Before I could tell her she was worthy, a mother called me late one night and said, "Baby, the police think that they have her body down at the morgue. And since it's been 2 years since last I seen my little girl, I was hoping that you could go with me to possibly help identify the body." And as they pulled the sheet back off her head, I just remembered all of those nights laying beside her like kids in bed, sharing her utopia. God, do not take her from me. Please. Please, not yet. But instead, I could only say 4 words. "Yes, sir. That's her." But long, long before that, I knew her when, and I loved her.
That was excellent.
Thank you.
That was truly, truly excellent. I'm envisioning footsteps of a history, somebody's bodily history. Did you intend to become a professional poet?
And I think that it is a calling for myself and for many others that I know and love and appreciate. It is something that calls out to us, something that once you do it once, it's like you can't get enough of it. It's almost an addiction, and then when you see all the places that it takes you and all the lives that you touch, the people that contact you and say, "My God, I was at your show and you don't know what it did for me and it was so healing," you can't help but go into the profession.
That's true. What do you aspire to as being a professional poet?
I just want to get the work out I don't have any goals at this point. I've been on stages across the United States and out of the United States, and the goals that I once had were pretty lofty on stage. What I really want to do is just make sure that the pieces that I've written specifically to help people feel less alone in their experience and in their trauma, I just hope that it heals them in the way that spoken word has healed me.
You know, we all have a favorite. Just something about us. We all have something that's favorite. Favorite uncle, favorite aunt, favorite cousin, favorite word.
Right.
What are your favorite? What is a favorite word within a favorite poem of yours? Do you have a favorite poem with a favorite word? I know you.
I
do.
mean, there are so many. Of course, you know,
I'd want to hit you.
I'm
hit
trying
you
to
right
think.
in the heart there.
Well, there's this this spoken word artist that I met years ago, and his name was Marcus Majors, and he was unbelievably gifted, and he did a poem called "I'm Not Dead Yet," and it just really touched me, and I use that expression all the time. Hey, you're not dead yet. Like there's still hope. You're not dead yet because of his piece.
I like
So people should look him up. He's amazing.
What do you find most challenging about spoken word events? Is there something
Uniquely challenging to
Yeah.
it. I think it's one artist, and when I first started out, I felt ill at ease when I got on stage because I didn't look like the other artist. I didn't have the same sound intonations. I didn't rock a certain way. My tone inflections were different. But when I hit the stage, that ceased to matter. So I think what's most important is instead of looking on YouTube and seeing other poets and trying to emulate them, just find your own voice, hone your own craft.
What does it take to be a spoken word poet?
You most definitely.
You may have answered it already, but
Well, there are a few other things. Aside from, like I said, honing this craft, you have to be able to whittle it down into a piece that can keep the audience's attention. If you are doing something and it's edit to the point that you feel comfortable, and then practice to where you're not scared. Practice in front of family, in front of friends, in front of your dog, wherever you need to do. Record yourself on your iPad or phone to where you see yourself. And I used to record myself and I'm like, oh, I don't like those hand gestures, or I don't like the way that I said that or enunciated that. And so for me, it was really about that, just trying to really get my own work edited and then really practice.
So I feel you on that one. What would you necessarily tell somebody wanting to get involved in this? I mean, could you direct them to some courses?
For spoken word artists that myself and other poets like me did not have when we started off. But now you can just look up open mic poetry, and if you think that it might be something you're interested in, just look it up on the events page on Facebook, let's say, and just go and start checking out open mic events, until you get comfortable going yourself. Just go and listen. That's what I used to do. Like here on Del Mar, I used to go and listen, and I listened for months before I ever stepped foot on stage, because I really wanted to not embarrass myself. But two, I wanted to see what the vibe was in the audience, how the other poets handled the open mic, and it really taught me a great deal about the professionalism that's needed in this. This is not something that we take lightly. It's not just a...
Well, Reese, I want to thank you for being a guest. And you can follow Reese at Facebook.com, Reese Hartnell, or you can go to Instagram at Reese Girl. Okay? And if you would like, you know what? That's good. Can you do us one more time?
Oh, of course, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I can for sure do it.
Please do us.
Pro-life is what you call yourself. Pro-life for a born baby, it's all on you. So pro-pre-birth if in the United States, but pro-death if carried out in the streets. You claim to be pro-New Testament, yet you are anti the Jew who began the spirituality journey that you claim to adhere to and the religion that you claim to abide by. You will gladly accept giving funds for the supplying of guns for ethnic cleansing while we fund genocide with millions freely given daily. Then claim that feeding American children who are guilty only of being hungry just breeds a country of freeloading, while you send prayers up that those who are reloading weapons to bomb women. You anti-abortion while passing out flyers promoting the importance of life, yet you so despise a religion you know little of, proceed to form opinions based off of fear-mongering programming by the media, while you are willing to see a few hundred dead casualties buried beneath rubble as being necessary if they disagree with your own personal ideologies. You see Islam as breeding terrorists, but don't see that our own dollars are funding the same exact actions. And though we might all be the victims of being swayed by images we see abroad, you cannot claim it is the right choice and hide behind the excuse that blood spills is according to God's will. Claiming to be pro-life should not exclude those others have prescribed as having good reason to die without benefit of judge nor jury. Nor should you reserve prayers and monetary programs only for those you see as living according to your biblical standards, resembling your color of skin, the religion or the community that you live in, or your terrorism. So please, the next time you say that you are pro-life, but you exclude certain members of society, say instead you are pro-pre-birth, and you will reserve judgment for once the life is born and proceeds to live according to your own judgments.
That was powerful. Can you do another?
Yes, of course. I'll finish it off. Imperious confrontation of complacent. You see, strength is not just physical prowess, but the spirit resurrecting the proud. Standing in the face of aberration, the condemning of edification as tainted opinions are leering down upon you. Yet you refuse to look at them, for you are looking over them, past them, and through them. And through the reflection of your past, emblazing the very waters your soul drinks from, your purpose becomes visible as you recognize that one nation indivisible does not mean that your thirst for unity can be quenched by opportunities to accept a sip of malice offered by those callous fellow countrymen who would not spit on you if you were on fire. And the fire that burns from the core of your pain ignites a fury in your brain, enrage your insufferable stupidity, nor the disgusting words you choose to describe me. You do not move me when you push me. Know that I do not just stand here for you. I stand against you. I do not just accept your hatred. I thrive off of it, consuming and ingesting it, molesting it with the truth that you cannot steal from me. You do not move me, and you cannot change me. You cannot silence me. And the silent things that you are busy whispering about me will not lead me away. And for that we will hold no regrets. The pressure that once pressed against my temple is now pressed against your hand as my temple stands firm. And though you only see just one woman waxing poetically, know that there are legions of women and children behind me, their spirits uplifting me, invoking thee to sustain me. So shove your hypocrisy, your gossiping, and your incessant hatred against me, and you will most have already move on.
Reese, she's tough enough. That's Reese Hartnell. Okay, and you can find her, follow her at Facebook, at Reese Hartnell, and Instagram at Reese Girl. And listen, if you would like to be a guest here on Hip Essence After Dark, you can mail us at hipessencemedia@gmail.com. And look out for our next show, YouTube, and search for Hip Essence. Listen, we want to make a very special thanks to Hip Essence After Dark supporters. We want to give a congratulations and a good hurrah to our video technician, Mr. Charles Butch Berry at the Exodus Gallery, and to you, our online video guest. Hip Essence After Dark is a production of Hip Essence, and I'm your host, Gary Stone.